What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Welcome to Saturday. Appreciate you coming out. We got a fun, I think it's going to be fun. I'm trying something a little bit different. Always be trying things new. Got a different take on radio preparedness here. And it's based off of an email I got, a really good email that went into some detail. And I think it's worthy enough that it's questions you've all had, or at least some of you. And I think it'd be a good time to hit it live. So that's what we're going to be doing. Enjoy the memes. We'll get started soon. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming out. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy Saturday to hang out with me and talk about radio. Got a huge amount of people in the chat. The chat's already blowing up. Appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate everybody. So this is kind of an interesting topic, radio communication preparedness. We've talked about that in its many different forms and all the different way that it exists. So not new under the sun, but we're approaching it from a different standpoint of how it relates to families and the people you want to talk to. A lot of ham radio operators, myself included, we like to talk to randos, right? Like, we like to make the longest run that we can, make the longest contact that we can, and see how we're doing, right? That's what we kind of do. In a preparedness sense, you got to be a little bit more mindful of who we're trying to talk to. What are we trying to do? And that's where this whole email thing kicks off. By the way, guys, link is in the description for our Discord. When we wrap up this show, we're going to go over to the Discord and have an after chat where we take your questions live on mic. If you can join us on voice, that'd be great, or just, on text is fine too. But we'll take your questions live there. This is a live show, so of course I'm going to take your comments and answer them the best of my ability, but let's try and keep this on the focus of the show because we got a lot of things to cover. Sean Weiland, I'm here to talk to strange men. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what ham radio can be sometimes. But not always, right? Because we know that's true. We've got folks who get on HF every day and they talk to each other. There's nets that have existed for a long time. We just did a net yesterday for the Ham Radio Crash Course. Again, join the Discord if you'd like to know about our HF net. But yeah, we had a great time talking with folks. We meet on 40 meters and it generally works out pretty well. So, all right, moving on. HamTactical.com, the home of the merch store for the Ham Radio Crash Course, and there's new shirts. Leia just posted them, so they're here at the bottom. They haven't got sorted up yet. But so check this out. This is called the Ham Radio Insider shirt. So we had a wonderful. Does it say? We'll have to update it. I'll get Leia to update it. We had a listener of the podcast actually run a Baofeng through a medical scanning machine, and that's what that is. That's the like inside of a Baofeng. That is really cool. It was super cool. So we've got two versions of that with different filters applied, and this is all from the medical scanner. Pretty cool. I thought that was awesome. And then for our new segment on the podcast, the HRCC Movie Club shirt is now a thing. So Ham Radio Crash Course Movie Club. Real thing. We've been having a great time taking your recommendations on movies. So if you listen to the podcast, that's the way to hear our movie reviews on preparedness and disaster movies. Mitchell's Pilot, what's it going? Or what's it going, man? How's it going, man? Appreciate the super chat. All right. So what's this all about? Oh no, a couple more things. Let me do. Reminder, if you are new here and you're new to ham radio, I got a playlist that's just designed for you, and it covers a lot of the topics we've talked about today. And if that leads to, further thought after listening to this show, there's a playlist waiting for you. And I think also link in the description for Gigaparts. Some of the things we're going to talk about are included in this Gigaparts list, so you can get 10% off if you use the code JOSH. It works on a myriad of things, and it's like 4 pages long right now. Link is in the description for that, so check it out. And again, coupon code JOSH. Give it a shot. It may work on other things. Who knows? Troy Clemens says, hi, my first live show with the channel. Thank you very much for watching. My first HF radio arrived at my house today, an ICOM 705. I get it when I get off from the firehouse tomorrow morning. I can't wait to get, oh, wow. So he's a firefighter, so thank you for your service in protecting people from the fires. But then you got to wait for your radio time because you're busy in the firehouse. That's got to be a little tough. So what are we doing today? Well, radio preparedness, as oftentimes we talk about, for you, your family, and your friends. It's a topic for sure that we like to hit. Also, shout out to Lahara Brewing Company. Leia and I went there today and picked up some beers. I got the 4-leaf, which is in commemoration to the character from Tropic Thunder, I am told, which is pretty cool. Oh, that's the wrong one. Not time for that yet. All right, so today, like I said, I get a lot of emails, direct messages, a whole 9 yards, and this centers on one email that I got from a person named Jason. And he wants to add to his personal preparedness, but he also wants to include his family and friends. And this is where things get a little tricky, because they may not want to be so prepared as he is. So what would you do as a radio enthusiast to get them interested? Maybe you can't. Maybe that's something we just have to accept, right? Well, this clickety-clackety, let's go. All right, so this is from the email, and I'll try to paraphrase this and move quickly. Hey, TC Fitz, thank you for the super chat. Did it pop up? It sure did. Thank you so much, TC. Appreciate that. Happy Saturday to you as well. If I click that, does it do the thing? Oh, interesting. I'm learning new things about this bot. So this is from Jason. I have been preparedness-minded since a young age, and it has interwoven with my time in the military and as a government contractor many times. I've worked at many levels, from direct operations to tabletop exercises with high-level decision-makers. So I've been doing this for a while and have a broad perspective. It isn't fun, really, but I can't not prepare. That switch has been flipped, if you will, for situations that may negatively impact my family and I. It's just part of how I think. So I get that. I know there's a lot of people that watch this channel feel the same way. I myself included. Next paragraph. However, nothing has frustrated me more than ham radio. I've watched countless hours of videos, read dozens of articles, and attempted to make it through 4 or 5 books on the subject. I don't want to take anything away from ham radio, its value, or those who enjoy it. For me, it's mind-numbing. I hear that. I hear that from time to time from newcomers particularly. The mixture of it depends, rants, and ham is fun stories draws everything out into an undigestible series of babble for me. It's like doing one of those Mad Libs, but it never ends. It's just a run-on story that circles back on itself, and it's full of jibber-jabber. So, okay, I can see where you could get to that. So my comments are generally going to be in blue for this. But I want to mention complexity. You know, for newcomers, those outside, particularly those outside of technical understanding, careers and jobs or hobbies even, it could be difficult to learn. There will be aspects of amateur radio that will be incredibly difficult. You will start thinking about things in ways that you don't normally think. And you can't really make that easier on yourself except to learn it. It's learning. It really is. This is a STEM hobby and service where you have to learn the STEM principles to be effective at it. So I expect that there is going to be areas where you're going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to have anxiety of feeling that you're worried about what you don't know, and if that thing is more important than what you're teaching yourself now, or what you want to do is 5 or 6 chapters in the book and you can't even get through the first chapter because it's so daunting, right? You will experience anxiety. I know that. And that's just, I experience anxiety when I pick up new parts of amateur radio, and that's kind of the reality of it. Every attempt I've seen where people have tried to make amateur radio easier or more understandable, it's often met with trying to obfuscate the complexity out via technologies and whatnot. But oftentimes the best path is usually just find the right method of learning that you can work with and then demonstrate it. Find somebody that can demonstrate for you, or read enough that you can start to dabble and then begin to demonstrate on your own. That is a huge part of this. And again, my playlist, go check that out. Are you new to radio? Start here. If you want to break down complexity, the best way to do it is with people that know a little bit more than you about that subject. So join us on the HRCC Discord. The link is in the description. Join an amateur radio club. If you go to Google and type in ARRL, find a club. It's literally a search engine you can use. It doesn't cover all the clubs, but it covers a whole heck of a lot of them. If you meet fellow hams, take down their information. Ask them if they'd be okay with you sending them an email or making a phone call to help them later, because you're secure now, you're good right now, but inevitably in the future you're going to get stuck with something. And boy, howdy, you'd wish you had a ham that you could call. Maybe even just to bounce ideas off of. Maybe not to have the best answers anywhere, but just to someone to talk to. And then read, watch, and test. Yes, test. I don't mean your amateur radio test. I mean, take this stuff out, demonstrate that you can use it. Try it out. It's an experimentative hobby. It's something that you need to use to better understand it. So now we're breaking down the core of the questions here. Jason lives in Virginia Beach. He has a 705 and wants to communicate with friends and family in Northern Virginia, just outside D.C., okay? Ranges, very important. You know we like that when we start talking about these questions. In a valley between Charlotte and Greensboro, North Carolina, okay, we're adding range. Just outside Savannah, Georgia, further still. In Sacramento, California, that's a big hike. Los Angeles, California, and then the biggest one, Honolulu, Hawaii. So you've covered local comms, potentially line of sight. You've covered HF comms with vertical firing of your RF so that it comes back down to give you like a 400-mile radius of communication. And now you're talking long shots out to Sacramento, Los Angeles, and Hawaii. Okay, good. Those are all things that we need to understand how this is all going to go down, or at least try to build a plan around this. So some clarifying questions, though, is how are we going to communicate? I assume that when people write emails like this, that they're talking voice, right? So we're going to say FM voice for line of sight, single sideband voice for HF, long distance, over the air, beyond line of sight communication. Digital, would that be okay? Would you be okay with attaching a computer to your radio and being able to communicate that way? Oftentimes, digital is more technical, right? More technical stuff you need to learn, but it allows for more reliable contacts than does single sideband. And then how consistent do we want this communication, right? Consistency when it comes to long-distance radio communication is going to be your biggest hurdle that you will have to begin to wrap your arms around if you want it consistent, right? Big thank you to Corpse-a-Lot digging into the world of Wires X. It hurts my smooth brain. Yeah, the digital modes can do that to you. The digital voice modes definitely can. But they offer a lot of capabilities too, and they're fun. So this is where we got to cover the intro point here for a lot of folks is frequencies. This is the ARRL Amateur Radio Band Plan. They put this together. It's not their band plan. They made this, okay? So all of those swim lanes, we call them swim lanes when it's a horizontal line, green, reds, all that stuff. Those are frequency ranges of spaces that amateur radios can transmit on and amateur radio operators can use for different types of communication. Voice, Morse code, digital modes, you get the idea. So if we focus on that lower right-hand gray box that says 70 centimeters, 33 centimeters, 23 centimeters. So the 70 centimeters in particular is the important one, and then 2 up from that is 2 meters. So 70 centimeters and 2 meters is like an HF handheld, right? So if you got your boof wangs out here, right? So your most commonly seen radio for most people is going to be a handheld like a Baofeng. This is a dual band radio. It allows you to transmit in between those frequencies. And it literally says right there, it says 144.1 megahertz, 2 meters, up to 148 megahertz. And that's a part of the 2 meter band. And 70 centimeters, where does it start? 420 megahertz, nice. And 450 megahertz, right? That's the range at which these radios can operate. Right? And they take up space when you transmit. They take up a bit of that bandwidth, that swim lane with the transmissions. Well, as you start to go down in frequencies, that's when you can bounce your signals off the ionosphere. Okay? And so we're going to have to bridge both of those worlds, the line of sight world to talk to local folks, and then the longer distance to get out to Virginia, Sacramento. Sorry, not Virginia. He's from Virginia. It's Sacramento, Los Angeles, and Hawaii. Okay? Wrong one again. We'll get back to that. I promise. We're going to include some of that stuff. So this is going to be one of your best friends. If you want to have a long-distance communication, you need to get onto a website called VOACAP. And I've got it set up here. Let's pull it up. Okay, so VoaCap, and we're going to have to modify this as we go along, but don't worry, I'll explain as we go. So let's dive in, and we're going to use Jason's information to do this. So I got close. I just eyeballed it. Virginia Beach, we're going to drop the little icon there, and we'll switch these around because they test both ways, believe it or not. And then we got Sacramento, so there you go. Now, the key thing to keep in mind, and I don't think I can plus up the size of the. Oh, I guess I can. All right, we're gonna bump this up big time. All right, I'm going to teach you how to use this. Links for all this stuff is in the description, but you need to know this if you want to do HFM radio and you have a person that you're trying to talk to, okay? You got to focus on this. The very far upper right-hand side of that map, it says CW and then 1500W. That we're not doing that, right? We need to do single sideband for voice because he's got a 705. What's a 705 put out? Maximum power? 10 watts. So not 1500, 10. Okay? Now let's change antennas too, because this is all something we got to consider, right? So transmitter site, receive site, we can change all of this. This website assumes that on the higher band, so 10 meters, going back to that amateur radio band plan, it assumes a 2-element Yagi, a directional antenna. I don't think he's going to be putting that up. So let's dial this back or change it. Let's go ahead and give him a dipole on 20 meters, dipole on, I guess we'll just say 40, and 15, we'll do a dipole, 12, we'll do a dipole. That's fine. It doesn't matter. We're just going to get dipoles in here. So there you go. And then on the receive side, same thing. So we got to change this up. You will need to do this too. You should do this, okay? If you're using this website, and you should for what I'm about to show you. If you haven't used this already, it's quite a cool website. All we're doing is raising the feet, not the bands. I realized. Let's all bring that back down then. Let's bring it back down to 50 feet. So you throw a line in the tree, you hoist your dipole up. There you go. Maybe 10's a little bit lower. Anyway, the idea here is that you're trying to model what your setup's going to be, okay? So that's about it right there. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're good to go. And what's wrong with this website? Oh, that's why. Okay. There's a button down here. I'm in the way of it. Hold on. Right there, band by band. If we click on that. Now, this is going to open up a new window, so I'm going to switch this over so you guys can see it. So here is the band predictions from VoaCap on what we'd be able to do with our 5-watt transmitting radio. Okay, we're mainly going to be looking at the short path, and that's what SP is abbreviated here. So it's going from bands on the vertical axis, and time is the top and bottom axis. It's showing us that primarily if we wanted to get all the way out between Virginia Beach to Sacramento, we'd have a window of option where 30 meters would be possible, which 30 meters is not really going to be what we're looking for. 40 meters would have a bit for a couple of hours, and it looks like 15 meters would be kind of the spot we would have to go in. And if you scroll down here, the reliability of those comms, that comm window, is actually pretty low, 60%, particularly on 15 meters being the highest, 60%-ish. And it's much lower than that. It goes all the way down to 40%. That's not good. Those are not good odds. It's not reliable. It's not reliable communication, right? So let's go back a step, and let's change this out. I'm going to close this and go back here. So let's change that single sideband instead of 10 watts to 100 watts single sideband. And let's see what this does. Hey, Josh says, got hooked on radio about a week ago when a big storm rolled through. I found your channel and began studying. I passed my technician exam today. Dang, buddy. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's super cool. Excellent. Excellent. I love it. So let's take a look now at what we would get if we were running at 100 watts. Does anybody expect a big difference? I hope so. Oh. Hold on. I got to remove this chat thing. Burp. There you go. All right. So now reliability has gone up significantly, but not only 10 meters, 15, 17 meters. And we also have, let's see, 20 meters as well. And we've picked up a little bit on 40 meters. I believe so. Where's 40? Which one's 40? It's the green. So this guy right here, not good. Not good, though. 40's still not good. It's likely the height of the antenna. Okay, so stepping up to a 100-watt radio made that a little bit easier, and we can still fine-tune this more. Now, I'm not telling you guys go all nuts with your, let's see. Let's change the antenna one more time. You know what we're going to do? 40 meter, we're going to go with a dipole. Let's see if that works better at 50 feet. This is literally like a good tool for experimenting because you can go in and you can try out all this stuff and you can see what kind of results you'd get. Now, does this mean that it's 100% accurate and this is exactly what you can expect? No, absolutely not. No. But it gives you some good feedback on what you'd see, potentially. Stop it. There we go. Uh-oh. We broke it? Did the Ham Radio Crash Course just break vocab? Whoops-a-daisy. It's not loading. I didn't expect that, kids. All right, what's another way to do this? Prop charts. Let's do the prop chart. Yeah, okay, so our percentage went through way up higher. So 40 meters actually has a 50% chance at 1000 hours, 10 o'clock. And we got some 30 meters. 30 is actually not that bad. And we got up a little bit higher with 15 and 17. Surprising, 15 and 17, doing good for for your transmission stuff. Excellent. So just for the heck of it, let's try throwing CW in here. Okay, let's do that now. Oh my goodness, what happened? Well, check out what Morse code can do versus single sideband. Every one of those bands, look at multi-hours with a predicted 90 to 100% reliability, 40, 60, 15, 20, 17 from Virginia Beach to Sacramento. And if we change that again, let's say we don't want to use, let's say we don't know how to do CW, so that's fine. We'll do FT8. FT8 in this case means JSA call, just so you know. Even more reliable. So there's your digital mode factor, right? So computer connected to your 705, assuming you can give it, let's drop this down. Let's go back down to 10 watts with FT8. Go. Is that? Yeah, okay. So look at that. We still have a massive reliability. Now, that's text chat. We'd have to text back and forth, but that's very reliable. Very reliable. So, okay, good. Now, hopefully, the purpose of doing it this way was for you to see, like, it's not just about throwing a wire up and being like, hey, we're good, all set. You gotta try this stuff out. This is something you're going to have to experiment with. And so, Jason, for you and everybody watching, the reason why we do Parks on the Air, the reason why we go in the field and we do these tests and build antennas and do this test is because we want to see how good we can get our signal, how effective we can get our signal out, and how we increase that reliability factor. Corpse a lot with another super chat. You don't have to do that, bud. Thank you. I love this practical application of resources and techniques available. This is excellent for tempering expectations and grounding the philosophy behind radio usage. Well, that is a well-written comment. Thank you, sir. Mitchell Pilot sends my happy little dancing controller boy. I think he said that like every week we've been doing this. So very, very good. Hey, Bill, thank you. Now, if we have time, I'm actually going to get on the radio, and we're going to use a web-based SDR, but we got some slides to go through here. So we're just going to get back to the slides. Keep clicking that wrong thing. Nope, that's not it either. One of these days, I'll figure out what I'm doing. All right, so QRP versus 100 watts, we just covered that, right? So VOACAP is going to show us that 100 watts is going to be a lot more reliable, increase the reliability than QRP, particularly if you have specific demands of who you're trying to talk to. If you're just trying to talk with anybody and just make a POD activation, then yeah, go nuts. And we can always increase our transmit power depending on the antenna we're using, and we can get further out. But sometimes you may not want to get as far out as possible. Sometimes you want to keep it close in communication. That's okay too. So we're adding to the questions. Jason's he had a very long email he sent me. I want to use my 705 as a listening post for emergency information. I want to use my 705 as a base station mounted to an antenna on my home. I want to be able to pack up my 705 and use my mobile in my truck. I want to use my 705 in my truck, in my house, in my backpack, right? So these are all possible. The 705 is literally designed to be a take it anywhere radio. It's a portable radio, QRP by its very nature. But yeah, you can take it wherever you want. It's a good receiver too because it picks up both VHF, UHF frequencies and HF frequencies. Now, we're going to dip into the world of shortwave here in a little bit, but shortwave just is another way of saying high frequency. HF, high frequency, shortwave, SW. We kind of throw those terms around interchangeably. The 705 can interface as well with your home antennas, as your vehicle antennas, as your portable antennas. It's just a question of what you want to dive into the deep end, if you will. And if you have family that may not be wanting to dive as deep as you are willing, then putting up a big HF antenna, even 40 feet of wire, may be a bridge too far, particularly if you have to go portable and mobile. So antenna choices in all of this is going to appear daunting. I appreciate that. But let's stick with the emergency frequencies for right now. What emergency frequencies do you need? The question comes up a lot, and it depends. On the radio, the VHF, UHF side, you're going to be looking for calling frequencies, local repeaters, NOAA, FRS, GMRS, other services that you might want to listen to. And we can show this quickly. It's always one of my favorite ones to pull up here. Let's go to Radio Reference. RadioReference.com. So if we wanted to, for say, go to, where's the map? Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Since they changed this, I've had the hardest time navigating their website. What's the deal there? Oh, it's because okay, come on now. There we go. So let's go to browse. So radioreference.com, go to the R&R database, hit browse. So let's dive into Virginia. I don't know anything about Virginia, but also this is really helpful if you're going to travel out of state or you've got a route that you drive a lot. It's really good to do this. Sit down. Let's go to Virginia. I don't know where Virginia Beach is, the county or anything like that, but I can click on it. I know that much. So right around here, it gives you all the kind of service-ish, first responder-ish frequencies that are out there, including some VHF, UHF frequencies, some higher frequencies, higher in the UHF space for fire, talk-around frequencies, school, colleges. These are the emergency frequencies that you may want to have loaded in your radio. Now, I always get asked, hey, Josh, am I going to be able to listen to the police talk-around frequency for the BV Police TA, tactical, probably whatever, 16 on my Boofwang? No, because it's at 856 megahertz. You're going to be able to listen to VHF 2 meters, around 2 meters, or 70 centimeters. Tops out at about 450, I believe, is the megahertz that the Baofeng Unlocked can get to. So no, you can't. You'd have to have a specially designed radio that handles those frequencies. So if Jason said, oh no, I have to be able to hear TA-16 police talk around, well, then he's going to need a scanner or a Motorola radio or something along those lines, right? So it depends, right? The other website that's really, really good is Repeater Book. This is more the ham radio side of the house, but let's bring that up. So with Repeater Book, if we just go to North American repeaters, again, we're assuming we're here. So let's go to boop, boop, boop. There we go. Same concept. Let's click on Virginia. And now in here, you'd have to break it down by county, but you can say 10 meters, 6 meters, 2 meters, 1.25 meters, 70 centimeters, the whole 9 yards, right? And you can say, I'm looking for ARES, RACES. These are all terms that we know in amateur radio. But you can break it down by city. You can break it down by county. But let's just say we're like, no, we're just going to do 2 meters. So let's click on that guy. Oh, yeah, good. Get that in there. And I'll just guess because I don't really know. Yeah, there we go. So now, depending on where you're at, and again, I don't know Virginia. I know Richmond isn't necessarily by there, but these are all the repeaters in your area that are 2 meters now, right? You'd use this to find out which repeaters you might want to monitor. Okay. Okay. Now, NOAA frequencies are static. If you use my Baofeng Next programming video and you're programming your Baofeng, or most radios now are covered under Chirp Next, you can just load the NOAA frequencies in there, and you should. NOAA frequencies are good to have, regardless of where you're at, even if you're not in an area that gets a lot of weather, right? Okay. Now, frequencies continued. This is another important thing. Some of you may have seen this. I'll show this to you on my... I have a couple of copies of this. This is my old version. This is called the NIFOG, the National Interoperability Fields Operation Guide. That's released by Homeland Security. It is on paper that's hard to tear, water-resistant paper, okay? The link in the description for my video includes the link to download this NIFOG, and I would recommend you download it, pare it down to what you like, what you find interesting, and then maybe print that, laminate it, do whatever it is you do with the docs, and keep that with whatever your kit is. Now, a lot of this is going to be completely foreign information to you. You likely won't even have radios that can operate in some of this stuff, but you can use this, okay? NIFOG is a very handy little thing. And in fact, I believe I have it pulled up. Let's take a look at that. So this is the website that's linked in the description. We'll say yes and give our government overlords all of our information. Oh man, we have a box full of those at my fire station. Dude, send me one. If you've got an update, if you got a new version, send me one, please. I need a new one. I need a new one for the 2023s. Okay? Okay, let's dive into this a little bit. This is I don't know when it was last updated. Oh, first printing? It doesn't matter. They update this periodically. So this breaks down Oh, wait, why aren't you seeing it? Oh, because it's not on... Jeez, come on, guy. It made a new window? All right, hold on. Hang tight. There you go. So... this will break down UHF, VHF, frequencies, interoperability channels, medical channels, the whole 9 yards. And we're not going to dive into this. We did this on a live video once, but these are kind of what the pages look like. Very straightforward, very dense with text, and a lot of this is you can just skip right through it. In fact, I'm gonna skip across until you can find some frequencies. Yeah, so here you go. All right, so this is the non-federal VHF National Interoperability Channels. Now, those are low frequencies. See those mobile receive, mobile transmit? However, look at 156.7. That is something that's a lot of radios that you can get your hands on can likely do. I think the 705 will do that. You may have to Marsmon it. As far as calling frequencies, there's a VCall 10, VTAC, tactical repeater. Tactical repeaters would be like something they rolled out, runs off batteries, or likely a generator, and they're running on those frequencies, or they have some kind of infrastructure set up to do this. Now, do I expect most of you would be able to sit down and you'd turn on your radio in an emergency and you'd flip to one of these channels and you'd get all the information you need to solve your whole day and make your life grand again? No, not at all. In fact, I'm guessing a lot of these channels wouldn't even be in use during an emergency, and highly, highly dependent upon where you live, right? But so here, it breaks down all this crazy stuff. So VTAC 1717D may be used in the following counties, but nowhere else. So this is all stuff that the people that are responding to emergencies would use, right? But it goes into great detail, and you probably should have this. And there's your weather frequencies right there. There's your NOAA. It's listed in the NIFOG. So highly recommend, at the very least, download it, save it off onto lots of things. Why not? Spread it around to all your computers. And you have, so there's the medical. Yeah, UHF med frequencies for EMS. Great. Now, don't transmit on any of these guys. This is for monitoring purposes. This is for information gathering in an emergency. The NIFOG is grand. Okay? Good. Let's see. Yeah, my NIFOG that you're seeing there is from 2011. The one that's in my go bag is, I think, 2019 is the most recent one I have. Maybe that's the most recent. I don't know. Hey, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. All right. Moving on. So I said the NIFOG. These are going to be different based off of your region. No confidence that it's going to be 100% accurate. Now, for high frequency shortwave, right? High frequency shortwave, you're not going to be able to do any of that with the VHF, UHF handhelds. None of the Chinese radios will really do shortwave receiving. Nobody correct me, I know there's exceptions always, but none of the Baofangs are doing this stuff, right? Now, HF functions a bit differently. There are shortwave broadcast stations that you can pick up using shortwave receivers. You generally will need an exterior antenna to be able to do that, some kind of coax, or just better yet, sit outside and just make a go of listening at what's going on. You obviously have AM broadcast, which is going to be transmitting in an emergency. And then we have amateur radio nets that occasionally will pop up if there is an emergency. Case in point, 14.325, 7.268. And yes, those are the frequencies in megahertz. So 14 megahertz, 7 megahertz. That's the hurricane watch net. When there's a big hurricane, they start the watch net for people to get information out and to be able to seek assistance in some cases. But more often than not, the emergency information that's coming out over HF is for getting information out and informing people of what's going on in terms of weather patterns and whatnot that they may not have access to because they are in the affected area with no internet, no power, whatever. Amateur radio is great for that, for getting information in as well. Okay? And then nets can pop up at any time based on a frequency during an emergency. There's not like a prescribed place that emergencies go within amateur radio. If there are people talking and they are outside the emergency and you are inside the emergency and you need help or you want to get information out and they're willing to help you do that, then that could become a net, or it could just become a one-off thing to get the help you need. Jason continues. Knowing it isn't likely anyone else I know is going to get their technician's license and invest all this money in ham radio, they'll just likely need to receive. But it would be nice to have the option for them to send in an emergency. I need to know what equipment I have to buy, send them. I want to use the equipment I have, he has a 705, and end up gifting everyone else to also get NOAA and emergency information. So, I have a fairly strong viewpoint that if an individual is unwilling to get licensed, it doesn't matter if there's an emergency and the quote-unquote they can transmit an emergency button gets pressed. They're not going to know how. And it's not even talking about VHF, UHF. HF is just completely impenetrable for people who have no experience in this kind of stuff. But they're not going to know how. They're just not going to have the training. They won't have practice. They won't have the capability to use the radio. So my answers for when people just say they're just walled off, they're unwilling to learn, sat phones, FRS phones, MERS, broadcast FM, AM, shortwave radios. These are all good options. Now with that latter, the shortwave radios, it is possible that Jason, in his location, could be transmitting on a pre-scheduled time that his family needs to pull out their shortwave radios when they're outside, tune to a specific frequency, and then listen for him to provide information. Is that possible? Absolutely. Does that take a lot of discipline? Yes. And how does he know they heard their message? Right? That's reminiscent of the old, the old number stations, right? Where you'd have, the spy would be listening on a radio and he'd be getting 7, 12, 14, 9, and then there was some message that he'd decode. Could he do that? Could he build his own number station? Absolutely. Do the people that are on the other end, the receivers, have to know what to do? Yeah, they have to know when to do it, how to do it, when's the appropriate time, all that stuff. Do I expect that to happen? Not really. I just don't. Questions continued. I need to be able to create a 1 or 2 page set of instructions written in crayon for some of these people that can guide them through turning the radio on, turning in to hear my messages to them, and listen to other messages from NOAA, FEMA. I bought a laser printer so I can print on Write in the Rain paper for durable copies. So I have a couple of things here, and I've got a video coming out on this next week. I already showed you the NIFOG, but there's a really fantastic piece of kit called the Off-Grid WX. And this was handed to me at Orlando. And it is a radio reference sheet for just all kinds of stuff. And no, that's not Leia's phone number. I was about to write it in, but then I knew I was going to be doing a video with you monkeys. So this breaks down frequencies of use, how to pick up weather from satellites. It explains how to use APRS. It explains how to use a number of FT8. It explains how to use WinLink for getting your emails. All of that would be fantastic. It explains time for W1AW reports, breaks down DX information. It even has an area, I skipped ahead, but go to watch my video for more information. It even has a grid square map that is really kind of useful, although I'm less inclined to use that. So let's see, where's the other? There's some first aid information as well. It reminds me of the old pocket ref. Does anybody have a pocket ref? I usually keep a pocket ref in my my work bag, and I have a desk ref, as they call it, on my desk at work. I want to reply to this right now. $99 for that book. Yeah, because he's typing it up. He's putting all the information together. It's printed on good materials. It takes all of the guesswork out of it. And could you do this? Yeah, absolutely. Anyone could do this. It's something that anyone could make. If you want to go get a binder, print in Write in the Rain, and do that whole thing, go nuts. But for those of you that don't want to spend the time, they'll pay $100. It's worth it for people who aren't going to use it or who aren't going to print it themselves, that aren't going to compile this information. There are tons of people that are not willing to compile any of this information. It's totally feasible at $100. Don't buy it if you can do it. If you want to do it on your own, go nuts. But it's nice. I can't complain. It's all free. Yeah, free. Okay, this is a live stream, so yes, I'm replying to this. Free is not free when you have time that you have to spend on other things. You may have a hobby of printing out stuff, but most people don't. Links are in the description to that. It's the Off-Grid WX. And feel free to join me on the Discord if you'd like to have a more heated discussion on that. I'm not saying you can't do it on your own. I'm just saying most people won't. Then they don't know how to, they don't know what they need. Oh, perfect. Yeah, there you go, Prepham. Prepham Paul nailed it because he's a pragmatic individual. He got it. Exactly. Multiply how much you make per hour, how many hours it would take to compile, print, plus cost of supplies. Nailed it, as always. So there's turnkey options like the Off-Grid WX, which I really like, the NiFog, and then, of course, the good old laminator and your thoughts. Put them down on paper and print them out, and you have your own. Now, the laminator route, and I should have probably dropped the link to my favorite laminator. There's like a $15 laminator off of Amazon that I bought years ago. I'm still using it. I make those little business card size things that say, for radios that I don't pick up very often, I'll forget sometimes God, I keep getting something in my eye. How to save a memory off. I'll make a little card, even if I hand write it, and then I'll laminate on there. Boom, easy. Do it. Everybody should be laminating stuff. As much as I respect the Off-Grid WX, I also think, yeah, you should also do this stuff on your own for important notes that you have, like how you programmed a radio or how you're using a radio to do whatnot. You should do both. Whatever you're willing and capable of doing, you should be doing it. Questions continue. He's got more questions. This was a good email. I don't think I answered it exactly the way he wanted to hear, but here we go. I need to cram everything in a Pelican case that they can throw in a closet and ignore until an emergency. Nobody is realistically going to practice, just like they haven't with all the other stuff I've given them. So I think it's a non-starter. I came back to him and I said, listen, I don't think they're going to put up a radio. They're not going to put up an HF wire antenna. They just don't care. They don't see the value in it, right? So this is where I started turning into, have you demonstrated this with them? Have you shown them what is capable? Have you given them an idea of what's possible? And if they haven't seen it actually demonstrated, then they're probably not going to know why it's valuable. Or the value is commensurate to the amount of time you have to spend in throwing a wire in a tree and knowing how to do that. They could look at it and go, I'm just dead set against doing that. And that's okay, but that means that we're going to have to limit ourselves much more further back, even lower than that. And what does that look like? Well, you see my little FU Media patch there that I've got. In this bag, which did a video on this, is probably the only solution that they really have at their disposal is going to be getting a shortwave radio of some kind, going out in the field or going out where they got a clear shot, and Jason on pre-scheduled times, and they have to capitulate to that, being able to transmit and they being able to hear it. Is it always going to work? No. And is it going to have to be in single sideband? Yeah, probably. Because again, I don't think they're going to go open a laptop, connect a 705 to it, throw a wire in a tree, and then wait for JS8 call to come rolling in. I just don't think that's going to happen, right? That's the reality of it. And we got to be honest with ourselves about this stuff. Jason also plans to provide Apache boxes at Harbor Freight are a good alternative to Pelican cases, although Pelican cases are good. Obviously, they're probably better quality. I also plan to have smaller solar panels, Goal Zero to provide power for this setup, and after all that stuff for charging. So I need everything to be able to run off of 120 volt AC, charge through DC, etc. So my thoughts are, yeah, solar is not a problem. Go to PowerFilm. The link is in the description for Gigaparts or the Explorer panels, or go to BioNO Solar, BioNO batteries. All are fantastic options. They're really good. The advantage of some of the amateur radio stuff, including the PowerFilm, the Lightsaber Max will run QRP radios off of 12 volt, and it has a USB port, and it's all internal. Now, do I think that these people will necessarily pull this out and hook up radios to it? I don't think they will. I honestly don't. I question. I know Jason's coming from a good place, and it sounds like his background. I understand exactly why he's thinking the way he's thinking, but I think he's almost doing this. He's asking these questions as though it's for his peace of mind, right? Not necessarily theirs. William Hendricks, yeah, QDX can do JS8 call. It does. I use it. That's one of my primary radios for doing JS8. Now, do I think that they're going to carry a QDX and they're going to have a battery and a solar setup and throw a wire in a tree to do 15 meters or 40 meters? I don't think so. And they don't know how to use JS8 call, and they're not going to practice. As they said, nobody is realistically going to practice. This stuff doesn't really exist, guys. It just doesn't really exist without having to crack the seal and get to work on it. Now, we all have high hopes. The Tech Prepper, he's doing his project where he's trying to make this much simpler. But even if he makes the software push button, dummy proof, you're still going to have to understand how antennas work. You're still going to have to be able to install antenna. You're still going to have to do all these things. And that is, it takes learning. There's no way I could put out as many videos that I have over the years if it wasn't because this is an incredibly deep hobby. Not just technically deep, but just deep in all the ways you can go with different things, right? So unfortunately, the answer is like, yeah, shortwave radio, good shortwave. I've got 2 listed down in the description. The CountyCom GP7, right? That's the one right here. I have a review for that. And the C-Crane Skywave single sideband 2. I like that radio so much, it lives in my office. I use it when I'm at work. And so that's why it's not here. But normally I have it to display. So questions continued. My friends and family will see value in me preparing, but won't really do any preparedness for themselves, especially my adult kids. So does anybody, what is it, the ant and the grasshopper? Does that sound familiar, that story? That's what I'm reading. Jason, my heart goes out to you. I know what that's like, buddy. And I'm not tearing you down at all. And I'm not tearing them down either. It's just that some people just, they're not into it. So I need to be able to do the hard stuff while they do very little, if anything. Those are the rules I prepare by. So everything is color by numbers for them moving on. I got news for you, buddy. I just don't think it works. And I'm looking at the chat too, and we'll take a minute to look at the chat. So yeah, maybe they got some good ideas. I know this sounds crazy and almost impossible. I have around $3,000 and another 180 to 120 hours. See, he's thinking time too, to set this up and just give up, not including what I'll have to buy them, of course. So, yeah, I got a couple of ideas here. So here's my list based off of what we know. I'm going to go from high reliability to low reliability. And that's reliability not just of the bands, as we talked about, but really, honestly, your family and friends. For high reliability, sat phone. Just get the sat phone. If money's the thing here, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, Jason is someone who emailed me. There you go. High reliability is going to be a sat phone. Iridium is where I would probably go because they do rollover minutes. And if you think that they're just going to lock this stuff up in a box and forget about it, I'd probably go that route, right? The Garmin InReach is also a satellite communicator. It lets you do text, right? Again, you probably need 2 of both of these, or you need however many you need for all the people. And a good rechargeable AM/FM shortwave receiver, right? There are many options, but I gave you 2, the CountyCom GP7 and the Sea Crane Skywave single sideband 2. So medium reliability, and this isn't necessarily for them to communicate with Jason or receive information from Jason, but they probably should have an FRS GMRS radio. I mentioned the KG S88G, the KG 1000G. Links are in the description for that. I'd say inexpensive amateur radio, but the asterisk there is to say if they truly aren't going to get licensed, just don't. It's really not. It's not going to help. Having people scream into the radio during an emergency without any discipline or wanting to learn how to do it, it's just not worth it. Plus, if you're not there to help them, I just don't see that going very well, right? However, if you do end up buying these radios, you need to upgrade the antenna, right? Texon 880 is fantastic. I prefer the 680, or is it the 620, 640? I prefer that one, but the 880 is good. Low reliability, low feasibility, and again, because it takes 2 to tango, and it's going to take 2 to have a ham radio contact in this case, is amateur radio. But if you're going portable, based off the information we found from the VOACAP website, we would likely want to use a Yaesu FT891, a 100-watt radio transceiver, something portable. You could connect a laptop to this. You could do JS8 call. You could do all that stuff that would make your contact much more reliable. And then for an antenna, go with like a Chameleon Lefts, the sloping end fed. Now, some required gear to go along with that. Not assuming the 100-watt radio right now, but it's going to have to be off-grid, right? And if you're going Apache case or Pelican case, it's going to need to be small. I like the PowerFilm Lightsaber Max because it rolls up. You can charge all the electronics above off of that. The Bioenno makes a ton of good stuff too. They have folding panels that take up a little bit more space, but you should be able to cram them into a lot of boxes and other things like that too. So yeah, reasonably, that's my answers to the question on that. And I do get questions like that all the time. And Jason, you're not unique in this spot where family and friends are kind of unwilling to take the ride with you. If they were local to you, with you, then it's a lot easier for you to be in control of things like that. But excuse me, I must drink some beer. Hold on. But if they are in Sacramento, Los Angeles, Honolulu, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to convey information to them. And even if, now think about this. This is the thing that worried me most. Think about this, is every day he's out there every 3 hours, sending out information, etc. And they don't even have the radios on because they forgot. Oh, my dad gave me a radio, and oh, I don't know, it's dead. What's this thing? I think it's a solar panel. Oh, okay, let's plug it in. Your statistical likelihood of running through all this stuff starts to go down and down and down if they're not interested in it. And again, that's okay, but we got to be willing to accept that. And so that's why I'm generally saying PowerFilm. Tom, I swear, that's why I linked to Gigaparts, who sells PowerFilm. You can probably go international from Gigaparts. Try that. Communication to random people is mostly easy to do in ham radio. Yeah, highly reliable communications, much more difficult. That's right, Jody. That's right. I wanted to, let's see if we can just demonstrate this live. This might be fun. How much time we got? We got like 5 minutes. Sure, why not? Let's see if we can pull up a SDR real fast. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the web. Okay, I'm going to bring up Kiwi SDR. Don't worry, I'll explain. Close enough. Kiwi SDR, that is a software-defined radio that people have connected to the internet So we're going to log into one live, right? We're going to listen at different parts of the country. I'm just going to try to go straight to somewhere close to Virginia on 20 meters, 100 watts, single sideband, and see if we can make it. Yeah, we're going to hear the receive side. Okay? That's what we're going to test. This is another great way to test out if you got, if you can do what you got to do. Now, of course, we don't know what the setup is for this for these different. What happened? Where am I? Oh, there we are. Virginia. Hey, there's one right by Virginia Beach. Look at that. Close enough. Let's see if we can. KU4BY, Elizabeth City. Let's go ahead and see if we can get. Oh, North Carolina. All right. We don't know exactly much about the station. They are listening to the time code right now. I will.
Coordinated universal time.
I'm going to go ahead and flip things. I'm going to try and find a frequency. Okay. There's somebody there. All right, that's fine. We'll go up then. No! All right, let's see if we can make it. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu test. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Okay, so you can hear me, right? That's 100 watts. Now we're going to drop that down to 10 watts. Ready? Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Test, test, test. Nope. No dice. Now, 10 watts. Check this out. Now, CW. Didn't make it on CW either. Where's my side tone? There we go. Didn't even make it. Let me see if we... Hold on, let's drop this down. Okay. No. Somebody's transmitting. Guys, give me a second. Yeah, I'm not even getting the CW out. All right. Well, there was my demonstration. Hopefully that made sense. Did that make sense? So 100 watts, right? Just that alone. And even then, I didn't mention it, but basically that was still like an S6, S7 noise. I'm on a 3-element Yagi. That's much better than a wire antenna. Much more powerful. So even at 10 watts with a much more powerful antenna, I couldn't make it, right? So that's the reality of this stuff, guys, is consistency is hard. And if you want proof of that, do that experiment I just did. So find, if you've got an HF radio setup, get on an SDR, find about as far as you think you can get out, and see if you can get into that SWR multiple times. Check in a couple of times a week. Use vocab to figure out what the right path is. I thought CW would hit. So did I. I thought CW would hit too. I don't know what's going on there, but it's not having a good time. Oh, I'm sure you heard me, but see again, snow cones. That's the key point. You heard me, but that station in Virginia, the Virginia Beach example, only heard me on 100 watts. Didn't hear me on 10 watts. Cypher, sure. Let's just grant you that ALE is consistent. Would you give ALE to somebody that is very new to radio? Come on. No way. You're not giving ALE. Unless you're talking like a military radio ALE. But we don't have that. Hams have software. Guys, it's not... You're losing the plot. You're missing the point. The point is we were pretending that was the station that Jason would be trying to connect to. That's how it works. If you go from 100 watts to 10 watts, in some cases you can't hear. Our atmosphere is too chaotic and it changes, the conditions change so that it doesn't just work all the time. Right? Right. Hopefully, God. If my question doesn't demonstrate it, I'm extremely new to all of this, and forgive me if you already covered. This all seems foreign to me. What is Please, what a great job to mention my playlist. Link is in the description to my playlist. Are you new to ham radio? Are you new to radio? Start here. It is, I think it's well over 100 videos now. Just go down the list. There's no order. Click on what you think is interesting. The most important thing that keeps you going in any hobby is if you find it interesting. If you start getting dragged down with all this minutia, blah, 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 just go find something that's interesting on the playlist. There's got to be something. I will ask that if you hear an acronym, just look up the acronym. Sometimes I don't hit all of them, right? And sometimes the acronyms don't really matter. Believe me, we talk around the point a lot. So in an emergency SHTF, if you do get someone on HF, what are the odds they are going to be close enough to be able to provide some of the help? So they're not okay. So Arnold, great question. So unless you're picking up some ground wave transmission, or you specifically have your station set up to be NVIS with the antenna where most of the radiated RF goes straight up and then it comes down at a wider footprint, they have to have the same thing. They're not going to be able to do much local help at all. The HF help is not necessarily for direct first-person assistance. They're usually a bit of a distance from you. All right, so basically this is the end of the show, the primary show. But we're going to wrap things up and we're going to join our friends on the Discord. We'd like you to become a friend on the Discord as well. You can join us over there and join the hashtag live-stream chat room. Scroll down the server a little bit. It's a text chat where you can ask questions. I will be reposting another YouTube live video, and that live video is going to be just talking. It's going to be for this after chat, taking your questions, doing the best we can to answer it. And if you want to, you can join us on voice chat. Your voice will be on the video, the live stream, and we'll talk to you directly, which helps a lot because you can answer clarifying questions, okay? Let's see. Go to the HRCC after chat to ask questions about the stuff you don't understand after researching it for yourself, preferably. Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, dude, it's okay. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Them radio waves is harmful.
Ham Radio Wilderness with Frank. Great show. See you on the Discords. All right, buddy. See you over there. Thank you. Off-grid Pete, peer-to-peer WinLink, VAR, AC, JSA call are good digital modes for high noise environments to connect and no. Yes, 100%. Off-grid Pete, 100%. Yes, but you need to have the people willing to take the ride with you. You really do, because it's all about family. Let's see. Anything else I missed? I think I got all of it. Yep, I think we're all good. All right, let's get that Patreon shout-outs going. Thank you so much, patrons. Appreciate you. I believe next week is going to be patron picks. We may need to skew things a little bit because I've got some interviews lined up that only next week I think might work. So we might have to move things around. But don't worry. Patron picks is always one of my favorite episodes of the month where the patrons vote on which subject I should talk about. Keeps me grounded because sometimes I get too far in the weeds on this crash course channel. Sometimes I make it too hard, and I do that to myself because I really like the in the weeds stuff. But it's really good to do videos like this. I hope you guys appreciated it, and I look forward to hear what the patrons have to say for the next vote we're going to do, which should go out tomorrow so that we're ready for next week. Let's see, anything else? Make sure we hit all of it. Well, thank you everybody for watching. It's a couple of people said we had a lot of people watching there. Yeah, oh wow, we had up like 700 people watching at one point. Wow, that's crazy. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate you taking the time. And reminder, we will be doing Discord After Chat goes for a few hours. And literally, we try to answer everybody's questions. So if it takes you a while to get set up with Discord and all that stuff, don't worry about it. Take your time. We'll come back to answering questions and doing everything we can, okay? Don't worry about it. Jody says, I DM'd you a link to the CISA's Public Safety Library AOP, which has the e-NIFOG in it amongst... Oh, that's great. We'll look at that in the after chat. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate that, man. I love that a lot. I am new and trying to understand it all, but I don't understand antennas. You said you had a 3-element Yagi, but those aren't... yes, a 3-element... Well, so a Yagi, what the heck? I'll just show you. We'll wrap it up with this question. Let's just Google. You can just Google this, right? By the way, anything I'm saying, you guys, the power of Google compels you. So this is a 3-element Yagi, and they come in various sizes. They come in handheld sizes. They come in huge roof-dominating sizes like the one I have, and I bet if you think about that for a second, you can probably figure out why they're such different sizes. The frequency's different. So a handheld antenna, so this is, I believe this is a handheld, close enough. Yeah, you could totally carry this in your hand. That's only like this big, maybe a little bit longer. 3-element, 70-centimeter antenna, 400 megahertz antenna. The elements are very short. But if you go back, let's see, go back. I saw my antenna actually yeah, so this is my antenna. Yeah, that's my antenna. The price is accurate. That is on my roof, and it's 40 feet across, maybe 25 feet across. I don't remember exactly what the across is, but it's huge. Why is it so big? Because it operates on HF. So it's like huge because the elements are very long. For lower frequency work, your antenna elements have to be much longer. How am I rotating my antenna? I have a Yaesu 450 rotor underneath it, which is still doing the job. I'm pretty impressed it's lasted that long. Thrust bearings, that's why. Thrust bearings are why. All right, guys, that'll do it today. Thanks for watching. We're going to go over to the after chat here in a minute. Need about 10, 15 minutes to get flipped, but hope you join us over there, and hope you bring your questions. Come challenge us with tough questions. We'll be happy to take them. All right, 73.